Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Season 2, Episode 21 of Mindclickers, where it's time to click both heads in 2021. I'm joined here today by Alex, also known as Acethem, who is the CEO of the 1620 Kings. How you going today, man?
Good, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
No worries. Thanks for taking your time out of this evening to jump on and have a call. And, I'm really excited to jump in and go through some topics today and really get your mindset around some of the OCE Esports scene.
Sounds awesome. Let's get into it.
Beautiful. So I guess, as we do on Mindclickers, we always started off with a little bit of background about yourself, how you got into esports and, what you're doing within the scene now.
Yeah, so, I think I've been playing games since I was, God knows how long. I guess a lot of us gamers since I was probably 6 years old, playing Sega Mega Drive all those years ago. Just been around it forever. And then, cut a long story semi-short, as in to get into the esports side of things. I started going to a net cafe that was around the corner and playing probably like CSGO 1.6, Battlefield 1942, all those old school games that really got me into competitive shooting. Like, I love those games, like 1942, and then when the Desert Storm mod came out, it was just like the greatest thing ever. And then started playing just normal CSGO from there, and then I started getting a little bit competitive when Call of Duty 4 came out. So I was doing a lot of scrimming and stuff like that. It was very old school when they had the custom servers and all that, and we were just scrimming random teams for just like blog posts online and stuff and that. It was really good fun, but I quickly learnt that that sport is a bit too much for me. I'm definitely a what you would call a bot, but I still enjoy it a lot. So I like to rate myself sometimes, but no, I'm nowhere near what the level is that some of the guys are at these days. Like, it's just chalk and cheese, really.
Yeah.
And I've just always been around games, and I think it's only been the last probably 3 years that I've sort of gotten into or enjoyed watching the esports scene, and it's really thrived a lot. I think personally, just from how it's blown up in OCE itself. Like, I didn't even know about it, and then obviously suddenly in the last 3 years, I've just noticed it so much more. So I feel like it's been not shoved in our faces, but it's a lot more mainstream, being seen online just regularly through Reddit or Discord posts or Twitter or Facebook, Instagram. It's just huge now these days. And then, so before I started getting involved with Kings, I started my own organization called ETS Even the Score.
Right.
I thought, why not? Let's just give it a go and see what it's like. And just, it started out as just building like a friendly group of community. And then we started getting some competitive teams. Like, this seems pretty cool. This is pretty fun, managing teams and stuff. And, I sort of have a bit of a knack for sort of managing people in a really fair way, and like still being extremely friendly, but, as they would say, like firm and fair. And it just went really well from there. And then Kings came along, and I've always been sort of talking to them now and again, because obviously as you get into the organization side of things, you meet other orgs, you make friends with other org owners, which was good to see at the same time. It's good to see that other orgs don't just shut down smaller orgs. More than happy, and Kings was more than happy to shoot out advice here and there, sort of give you suggestions and help. And then, as like from the amount of work that I was doing with ETS, it was just so much work, and having like my full-time day job, it was just so much to handle. Even when I was able to get some other managers or another person to help me, I was still taking a lot of the brunt work, and it was just a lot to handle and a lot of stress. And then Kings came along, and they sort of offered me a gig, and I was like, sounds pretty good. Like, they were sort of 2 to 3 years ahead of where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I never, in my mind, I was never like, ETS is going to make millions of dollars. It was just like, it was always going to be a fun thing, and if it does well here, that's cool, but it was never the end goal.
Yep.
So if an opportunity to be in esports and I was able to get to that ahead of the curve 3 years ahead, I always said to myself that I was going to take it. Because ETS wasn't really my baby. It was more a learning experience. So I learned a lot from that, and I was thrown in the deep end. And then, Kings came along. We started out as general manager, because I approached them in a very professional manner, which they haven't had very often when people approach them for a management position. Right. As I'm sure a lot of org owners will relate to me when I say this. They get a lot of people, especially Fortnite players, who just DM them. And say, "Oi, you should sign me. Oi, join me. Oi, I'm the best in the world." And God, that just doesn't work. And they get ignored most of the time. So if you're ever going to approach an org, don't say that. You'll never get a response. So I just wrote down everything that I've done, everything I offer, even my IRL life, everything what I can bring. They obviously had an inkling that they needed a CEO, but they started me as general manager. Went really well, promoted me to CEO, and here we are now. And I think it's going really well, and I love it. Like, it's made me love esports so much more. Like, I've always loved it, but this is just like, I want to always be involved in esports in some way. Obviously, I'd love it to be with Kings forever and love us to be massive,
Hmm.
but I just want to be around that world in some capacity forever, really.
Yeah, for sure. The story so far, man, love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I really relate to that kind of, because it's kind of in the sense that I had the same sort of approach as well, because I used to be back in the Cod 4 promo team as well. So I'm just messaging guys on Xfire, can we scrim? Can we do
Hmm.
this? Then signing up on Cybergamer. Take me back, man. Those were the days.
Those are
And
the simple days, man.
those were the days coming back home, throwing the bag down, loading up, trying to find a scrim on Crash or Strike
Mm.
or whatever.
Oh,
Those,
Crash.
those were
Oh,
the days, man.
don't get me started, man.
Those were
Oh,
the days.
so good. Just yeeting nades over the top of buildings.
But yeah, man, it's really exciting. It's really interesting to compare, I guess, 4, 5, even 6 years ago
Mm.
towards now, where we have so much more development within the OCE scene. We have such a more structure. And I
Yeah.
guess, throughout that process of, I guess, identifying where you fit within the scene as well, through ETS, and then understanding, you've had that experience, within an organization, then taking that step onwards to then jump on board with the Kings. And I think that's a fantastic opportunity. I think that, opportunity within esports is sometimes quite rare. So I really think it's fantastic that you jumped on board that experience and saw value within it, because I think that a lot of opportunities don't always roll around.
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes you got to learn. I guess it's like that saying, sometimes you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them. And I was just like, I'm going to fold it on ETS, and I'm just going to put all my chips into Kings, and it's paying off so far, and I really enjoyed it. It's just, and
Mhm.
it was really good. Like, it was good also going into a management team and even a community that was not toxic at all, very welcoming, explaining all the ropes, because they were ahead of where I was. They knew a lot of things I didn't know about. Like, ETS didn't have
Mm.
like we didn't have contracts or NDAs or stuff like that. I wasn't even thinking about that sort of stuff. And then
Yeah.
coming here, that's all there. And like, I love that side of it. It's awesome, and it's definitely 100% needed, especially with
Mm.
when you're signing players and stuff. But it's
Yep.
just like a massive eye opener to like when you get to. I mean, it's not like a super high level, but even
Mm.
at that level, to be able to compete in that sort of size, you need those sort of things, and it's really good, and it's definitely preparing us for the future, and even just for when we're talking to bigger organizations, sponsors, all those sorts of things.
100%, man. And how was that experience when you first came on with the Kings? Was it a matter of, I've got to learn how to do this, I've got to learn how to, do these things that are different to back towards
Mm.
in comparison to ETS? Or how was that experience, and how did you, I guess, learn the ropes?
At the start, it was a little bit overwhelming in when
Mm.
they started showing me all these contracts and NDAs and signing information
Right.
forms and all that. And I did sort of feel like I was signing my life away. And it's the first it's the first sort of time I was like, because just with my day job, like, I've never really had forms that fully detailed. Even just in general, I've never had forms
Right.
that detailed, and it was
Yeah.
so full on. I was like, I'm gonna read this. Like, I trust them, but never
Yeah.
sign your life away. Always read for everything.
Yeah.
And it was an eye opener in that way, but the
Hmm.
actual how I think the way how I haven't really changed the way how I handle things at all. So when I'm like approaching players, teams, other orgs, I still
Hmm.
approach in the exact same way, and I think that's maybe why they've put me into this role or asked me to do this role, because of the way
Right.
I approach people.
Yep.
So yeah, and also just because we've got a fair amount of staff underneath us, being able to manage those people and their individual roles, and because from ETS I had to pretty much do all those roles on my own, I can relate to all of those managers.
Hmm.
And I think it really helps when I'm trying to connect to my managers and how we need things done or how they suggest things to be done. And it's just like, sometimes I don't feel like obviously I've got the role of CEO, but I don't
Hmm.
sometimes feel like I am a CEO. I feel like we're all the bosses in our own
Yep.
way. Like, every time we
Yep.
usually do things or think about things, we try our best to just let the whole team and the whole management staff know this is what we want to do. What do you guys think? And it all worked out really well. Obviously, everyone has their own bumps in the road and what have and stuff like that, but
Hmm.
it's going really well.
Yeah, well, I think that's fantastic, because I think that in order to have a successful organization, you need a lot of input. I don't think that one person really making and overshadowing the doubts and overshadowing what needs to happen is the key to go, right? And being able to have a lot of minds come together from a multidisciplinary approach, whether we have managers, team managers, players, CEOs like yourself and being able to incorporate yourself to make a proper decision is probably the best way to go about it, right?
Yeah, definitely, 100% agree.
Yeah. Now, I guess it's an interesting question in regards to obviously the OCE ecosystem. So we have quite a lot of organizations within the ecosystem that are really trying to, I guess, compete to really get to that elite level. And I guess, that elite level could be for some of these teams to start looking at international competition, right? So where do you see the Kings currently at the moment? I think obviously their Valorant team's probably the most dominant from
Hmm.
my understanding, but how do you see yourself within the current ecosystem within OCE?
Um, I think it. I think it's very tough. I think in the I try to see it as like our size level. So it's like I'm not going to compare us to renegades. Like I
Hmm.
almost feel like there's like no, I don't know astronomy at all, but I'm thinking like we're like little solar systems within a huge universe, and the universe in our bubble is say OC. Let's just say OC is our universe,
Hmm.
and then we're the little solar systems within that.
Yep.
So I'd say each solar system is like its own size. So I'd say we're in that size of like the 500 following to say like the 10K following, and I think
Hmm.
within in that ecosystem, I think we're pretty competitive, and I
Mm.
think we're very I don't want to. It's just I don't want to sound cocky, but I feel like we are very doing really well on our content side of things.
Yeah.
I'm heavy on the fact of like you got to look professional if
Mm.
and act professional at the same time. Even if you don't maybe have all the monetary things behind you backing up, you still do the best
Hmm.
you can to at least look as professional as you can. And it's just like like when I used to play golf a fair bit professionally. I used to always say,
Yeah.
I'm going to look good even if I don't play good. So at least that way. So even if our maybe our teams don't perform that well, at least when we dish our montages for those teams or our content creators or our graphics on our Twitters or Instagram or whatever, it's going to look like it's
It's gonna look good.
100% amazing, like it's up the level of Renegades.
Yeah.
And we're just really smart with who we approach for editing and how we do it and how we
Mm.
talk to them and what we want. And then a lot of the stuff is just done like in-house. Like I might even just go and do my own graphics. Our founder, he'll do graphics for us.
Mm.
We'll just put all our efforts and pull together and do really good work that way. Um, so I think, like I said, we are competitive in that way, and our Valorant team is doing really well. But as a whole, we still have a long way to go. You got to think
Hmm.
it's to really start. Where you're becoming a name that people are like, oh man, like we're going up against these guys. They're a really good team where it's
Mm.
consistent. It's a long way to go, and like I said, we don't have any sponsors at the moment, and I think we've
Hmm.
done pretty well considering we haven't had any monetary support. It's just all been in house. And
Mm.
I think we've got a huge upside. I think it's just waiting for that moment where we decide that this is the time where we're going to approach someone, and then it's just going to be
Hmm.
game on. Then I think we're going to start to really skyrocket. So it's just confidence is key, really.
Yeah, for sure. I love that approach. And I think being able to have that mindset in regards to approaching such a big scene that there's a lot of competitiveness within, it's crucial, right? Because there are a
Mm.
lot of people trying to fight for that top position or trying to position themselves within the ecosystem to, not really come out on top or not really be as competitive, but actually just try and be the best they can be. And I think that, being able to have that approach towards content is a big one because there's a lot of organizations that primarily just focus within the esports side of stuff. They kind
Mhm.
of neglect the side of content, and I think that's crucial because I think, having a strong content foundation allows external viewers and allows that much more audience relationship and allows that balance to occur. And I think even with a more content based approach, it also allows for more discoverability, right? So you get more
Definitely.
people tuning in, and it's just perfect behind a balance.
And that's something that's true. Like I know it's a lot of people talk about it, but I know deep down that YouTube is an avenue of
Mm,
money source, that income. It can be there. So that's why it's like get
definitely.
on it early, bring out the good content so it's already, and then one day who knows, the algorithm might swing our way. Something might happen, and then our content's there and people are going to love it, and then we
Mm-hmm.
can just keep doubling down on that quality. And
100%.
it's hard in a way where like obviously there's a type of style that a lot of people like.
Mm-hmm.
And the market is flooded at the moment, OC and orgs. Like there's orgs
Mm,
every corner you look, from every sizes, all the brandings, everything. So it's hard to sort of pick what angle you want to take. Like, do you want to
right.
go like the rest of them and stick with what people are liking at the moment, or do you
Mm,
try to sort of stand out and be different? But then there's the
yep.
risk of that could damage your brand, or people might like that. So it's sort of
Exactly.
finding that sort of that niche in between of sort of pleasing both sides, but still sort of standing out a little bit. So I guess in a way, us being so small, but really doubling down on our content is maybe our niche, trying to really go, look, we do have some proteins, but we're dishing out the content too. We're not just a Fortnite org. We're not just a content org. We're not just a protein. We're a bit of everything. And we're grinding pretty hard to sort of manage all of those, but I think it's worth it so far.
Hell yeah, man! Love that approach, and I love that mindset because it's just so strong, and the passion really shines through. I guess in regards to the next 5 years, looking forward for the Kings, is it more so, I guess, continuing on that content basis, or just waiting for that perfect opportunity to come to then try and rearrange everything to make sure that you are still following that niche, or what does that look like? Do you reckon?
Um, I think everyone in our management side love pushing that content. Like I can't video edit that great, but I love a good video edit. Like all like our violent montages we put out, and then a few other Apex videos. A lot of those was just me dealing with the editor the whole time. So I guess I could call myself like a video director. So I'm really good at putting things, into writing and how I want it done. And then the editor will obviously put that vision into actual work. And I love it. Like when there's this awesome music going on and it just drops and it just hits the feels, mate. I love that stuff. So
yeah,
I'm always going to want to just push out the best, most highest quality content we can. But I do love getting behind one of our pro teams. Like when the Valorant guys are out there on stream playing, like I love watching it. And it's like, I guess it's like, when you're in AFL and you watch your favorite team when they kick a goal and you're just like absolutely pumped up. Like I'm sitting like behind my screen. It's like, yeah, I'm like, I'm at, I might be at dinner because obviously, I can't just sit at my computer like all the time, and they're playing and I'm at dinner and out with my missus or family and stuff. And I just sort of got my phone to the side with the stream going on and I'll be like eating my food and be like, trying to have a conversation with everyone. I put the phone away, and I'm always on my phone all the time trying to get updates. So I love both sides. So I would love to just keep both sides going massive, and that's what we want to do. Like we want to be a premier brand of like amazing content, and also have at least a couple of really high quality teams that are really competitive, and then they can just work in tandem together.
Yeah, for sure. I can really relate on that spectrum of, I guess, getting so engaged, especially within esports and, looking at, I guess, because when I came in with the Renegades for the first time, and then we went into the Regional 1 event, so last spring split, and just that feeling of, I guess, going from a player perspective of like, I used to play this, I used to do this, but then all of a sudden, there's X amount of people watching and it's like, oh, hang on, I got to take a step back here for a second. I got to look at this. I got to brace myself. So it's definitely an interesting scene. I think because of that, the dominance for esports within OCE is just so astronomical. And I guess you mentioned AFL there briefly. It's kind of interesting where we see traditional sports starting to branch into esports and starting to take on that domain as well. And that's a very interesting avenue, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's tough. Like, I like the idea of like, say, like those, athletic sports teams, like maybe sometimes dipping into the esports or sponsoring teams like that. It was a bit of a fluff when I saw. I think it was probably a couple of years ago when I think Essendon had a League of Legends team or something like that, or a Dota team, and they showed them in the crowd. Obviously, they reserved them like 5 or 6 seats, and they saw them in the crowd watching the footy and the games on. They're just like on their phones and stuff. I thought it was quite funny, and it's like man, that's not a good image for us, like for us gamers. But like that, that's also like my avenue of like what I'm doing, like how I say, I like to promote health and fitness within the gaming industry. Like, there can be, fit gamers, and it does transition. If you are dedicated outside of gaming, it can transition a lot heavily into your actual gaming, and you would know yourself like what you do as well. So there's definitely benefits in that. But it is good how gaming has become more mainstream. And a couple of years ago, people were like, oh, esports, so why are they calling it a sport? But it is starting to come through more. Like people, it's in the betting market heavily now. Like it's on, I think, Channel 7 or Channel 9, even though it's at like late at night, like 12 a.m. It's still on, mainstream TV. And I'm sure there's heaps of American like teams out there who are sponsoring or even have their own esports teams as well. So it won't be long before OCE starts seeing potential value in that on higher level OCE teams.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that directly, it's a very interesting narrative as well. When you think about, I guess, esports as a whole, and I guess development for up and coming youth players, where we have, I guess, universities starting to have
Yep.
dedicated esports hubs. For
100%.
example, my university has an esports hub that's decked out with like 50 computers, like really set up nicely. And I think, that's so much marketability for, I guess, getting students into tertiary education, but also promoting an avenue of esports where they can follow
Hmm.
their passion, right? Because I think when you have that drive to suggest for players coming at fresh out of high school to take the narrative of, they're not really sure what they want to do, or they might have an interest in something, but then they have an option of going to university and
Mm.
actually playing esports professionally there. I mean, that's a really good option. I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great avenue for them to have within unis, and even like they have like Valorant high school leagues and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So it is obviously an avenue that, even on the educational level that they're seeing. And like we said, just with like I sort of touched on a bit with the sports side of things. Look how many
Mm.
athletes we're seeing who are streaming like Warzone and stuff like that live on stream.
Yep.
They're huge. Like,
Exactly.
Mitch Robertson, Nick Kyrgios, all those sort of guys are making it
Hmm.
so mainstream, and also another avenue to connect with those athletes on all levels. We've got guys who are just content creators, and one of our older content creators, Fatal Kebab, was playing. He was playing with Nick Kyrgios on the regular. Like, it's just
Mm.
crazy to think, a streamer who's at the level of, say, maybe 30 or 40 viewers on the reg, and he's just like playing games with Nick Kyrgios. Like, it's
Exactly.
really awesome to see. So I think it's definitely going to become even bigger. I think in the uni league and high school leagues, it's going to get real big, and I can
Hmm.
see it being a huge thing that even orgs at our level are going to potentially think about. Maybe we can like can we invest somehow in
Mm.
those scenes, in the high school league and a
Yeah.
uni league, and be involved in that and promote that, and maybe even have hubs for it and go around and be the premier sponsor of those and have our name like that. It can definitely be an option. So it's really good to
Definitely.
see, and it's a good pathway to look at players too. Like, once they leave those leagues or come out of those leagues, they've gone through that experience of lands and competition and trainings.
Hmm.
It's just preparing them so much more for if they want to take that to the next level.
Exactly, 100% agree. And one guy I'm actually coaching at the moment is gone through that direct avenue. So he's actually he was competing in the Australian high school esports league for Rocket League, and he just wanted to, it was a little bit, should I do it or not, or should I get that experience? And I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Getting that
Yeah.
experience. And I think if I had that when I was at high school, man, I would have jumped straight in.
Oh,
And then I
oh,
guess
dude. I just would have, dude.
building it,
I would have done no homework. I would have done no homework. I did little
I
enough
would
as
have
it
been
was,
playing
but
all day.
yeah,
Sure,
no,
and
really awesome.
I think they were competing for like $5,000 worth of prizes or something, and it's insane when you think about that. Where we're going to be in the next 10 years? Is that going to
Mm,
be the normative? And it's just insane to really understand that kind of growth. And even just talking about that sports sort of stuff. When I had Andrew Drumicon from the Brisbane Bullets early on
mm.
Mindclickers, he was fantastic to talk about from that content creation approach and bridging the divide between esports and normal sports.
And it'll definitely happen. It's just like it was normal when I was back in school, and they just had like, school versus school soccer and tennis or footy
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, it'll become a normal thing where it's going to be like our esports team versus their sports team. It'll be, and they'll just
Yeah.
have the LAN in the gyms, and they'll be able to film it, and then it can transition into, the photography or, cinematic classes or the videography classes in those unis and high schools where, okay,
Mm,
this is the video footage from that thing, make it into the clip,
definitely.
and it just can transitions to all even the other classes that are within that uni and, that school as well.
For sure, fantastic. The possibilities really are quite endless, and it's going
Yep,
to be super exciting to see where it goes.
for sure.
I guess one thing I'm really interested from your approach, and I guess your mindset on, is I guess this whole idea of scouting. So obviously, there are a lot of players, and we talked about it early in the episode in regards to the Fortnite lads. This whole approach of approaching an organization and I guess marketing yourself, but also on the flip side of what an organization looks for. Does it look for um, skill level? Does it look for viewership? Does it look for someone on YouTube grinding away trying to market themselves? What's the big things that you guys look for, and what makes such a good person to try and potentially pick up?
Um, I mean, people can say, "Oh, brandability," but it's like, I guess if they come under us, we're the brand. We try to approach
Mm,
players that are probably that we can sort of feel like they have a similar mindset to what we like, which is, non-toxic, obviously just a quality mindset on how they approach things and how they approach people.
mm,
Uh, obviously we don't want them saying, silly things online and stuff like that. And it's good to see if we can go through their social and see they haven't even done that even without being in an org. So
Right.
then that's a big bonus too. Having a huge following, if they're massive, isn't a huge factor. If we go to Fortnite and you see their stats and their rankings and all, and their rankings are really well, but they're not really doing well like social size and all that,
Mm-hmm.
we would still pick them up, because then our offering, we're huge about helping people with their own branding. We have like care packages that we're going to roll out to our players that give them
Mm.
all the tools they need to help improve themselves. We have management staff for each individual game that can help them specifically to their game type.
Yep.
We have coaches for our teams as well. So, and then also, I won't specifically go and approach a player. I might approach like maybe a sponsor here, or talk to other org owners and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I know that I know Fortnite, I play it, but I don't know the competitive side of it that well. So then that's why we went and got a person who's who as our manager, who knows Fortnite like the back of his hand. He knows everything to do with how they play. He knows all the players in the scene, or he's able to find out who they are very quickly. So we find the best person for the job, and then I have complete trust in them. They go out, they bring those recruits forward, and then we just go through them as a team, and we go through everything individually. And then obviously we can have trial bases and stuff like that, and we can go through that. But yeah, like I said, obviously having a huge size already does help, and that can come into consideration very little. But no, I'll take stats any day, because if we're looking for a competitive player, we want a competitive player. We don't want a person who's, I guess, pretending to be a competitive player just because he does some awesome trick shots. If he was really good, we'd say, hey, do you want to maybe potentially come on as a content creator? And then we won't promote him as a competitive player. We'll just promote him as a competitive content creator. So I guess there's different avenues we can sort of take players with. We've even suggested to some other players like, hey man, like you're an awesome content, you got great videos, but your performance isn't that great, but we'd like to offer you a content creator position. So we're still going to help you brand yourself, get out there, get your name out there. You can still compete. There's no issue with that. So that we're going to be branding you as a content creator, and then we can even more easily promote you out there.
Yeah, for sure. I love that approach. And I think having that approach towards skill, but then also the opportunity for them to develop content is probably, one of the best approaches. And I was thinking about it yesterday, actually, and it's quite interesting to really think about it from a different perspective, that there's probably like X amount of players out there who aren't on Twitter, aren't on Twitch, aren't on any social medias, but they're grinding and they're at the top. And it's really interesting to see, kind of like, when referring to, I guess, normal, like, the hidden job market, this is kind of like the hidden player market. There's so many players out there, potentially just ready to go for an org. And how do we find those players, do you think?
It's tough. Like, I mean, I know through when I was with ETS, it's funny, before ETS, I wasn't on Twitter at all. I was on Facebook and Instagram. I thought those were the things to do. And Twitter I didn't really get Twitter at the time. I hated the idea of like, I can only type a certain amount of things and I can't edit. So, and because I don't have mind letting everyone know, I'm not the greatest of spellers. So if I make a spelling mistake, I'm done for. And we know people love to jump on spelling mistakes. So I'm just like, so I think that was a thing. I was just like, no, I don't want to be a part of it. So now if I ever make a Twitter post, I'm just like double checking like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, so am I.
So Twitter, I can have an edit. God.
Legit. Where is it?
Honestly. But yeah, so I think when I was with ETS, I found a lot of players sometimes just through when I was playing like not Cold War, not Black Ops, the ones before that, Modern Warfare. I actually found a bunch of our Call of Duty players just from like, oh man, this guy just destroyed this lobby like 4 times in a row. So then I'd add him as a friend. I'll play with him a few more times to see, if he could do it consistently, because obviously everyone can have like a great game and then they're dust.
Yeah.
So then I was like, and I'll message him and be like, hey man, like, do you want to join our Call of Duty team? Like, you're awesome. Obviously there's a difference between pubs and CDL, but he was just destroying so much. It was just like, his movement was crazy. Like, I just went by movement and his movement was insane. And then it was quite funny because he had no microphone. He's probably,
really?
I mean, he probably still follows me. His name's XMQ. I think he's like 16 years old. He will definitely be a Call of Duty pro one day if he's still grinding. But he was an incredible player. Yeah. He didn't have a mic either, so it was just like through text for so long. And then finally he got a microphone. And I think there was two or three other players that we also found just through playing. So there is an avenue. You can find players just by playing the game, and if you play with them regularly, like I'll do it now when I'm playing like Apex and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll be playing Apex arenas, and a guy in our thing would just drop like a 12 bomb, and I was like, I'm just gonna add him as a friend, like straight up. And most of the time they accept, and I just play with him a few more times, and see if he's friendly, if he's talkative, if he's consistent, and then I say, hey man, you should just come join our 1620 Kings community, and then they might join the community, and then I'll talk to them from there and stuff like that. So just like little avenues like that. Obviously, we get people that just approach us out of nowhere, like our Tekken Pro we just signed yesterday.
Yeah.
He just approached us out of nowhere, and it worked out really well. So it is hard if the person isn't on social media and they're cracked out of their mind. But I guess you got to hope that they can maybe sort of feel it within themselves that their quality, and someone might suggest, oh, go on here or try this and go on that. Facebook's huge though. Like Facebook's been around forever, so you can always go to the Facebook groups, and there's always people in there who are looking for orgs or teams to play with and stuff like that. So it is tough to find players who aren't on social media, but there are other ways. It's just a bit slower process to vet them out.
Hell yeah. I remember that brought so many flashbacks back to the old days of Modern Warfare 2. You jump on, let's have a 1v1 on Rust. First to 30 kills, quick scopes only, take me back again. Yeah. But it's really good to see that approach. And I think, a lot of, you probably talk to a lot of CEOs and they wouldn't do that, right? They wouldn't be out there, having a chat and playing and building that rapport within the community. So I think that's fantastic. Mate, and massive respects to you on that part.
Thanks, buddy.
I think, you mentioned obviously Tekken there, and that's actually really sick because I play Tekken quite a bit. How many games do you think it's appropriate to, I guess, to look into? Is there a certain amount or is it uncapped?
Well, I think maybe you could put them under a genre. So like you could go, I would sort of put like Valorant and CSGO in the same sort of package.
Yep.
And then I might put like Tekken and Super Smash in the same package because they're a fighting game community. So I guess you could do it in that aspect. I feel like Fortnite's its own thing. I wouldn't even pull it in the Battle Royale community. I would say Fortnite is Fortnite. It's its own thing.
Yep.
And then I guess Warzone could be along with like PUBG and some of the others that are out there. But I guess it depends on what your management's like and how many games can you take on before the quality of the others maybe start to dip, or the management of them start to dip, or the communication starts to dip. Obviously, we don't need managers for Super Smash and Tekken and those individual games because it's just one player. When you get to like say Valorant or CSGO and stuff, when it's like a team of 5, or like Fortnite when you have like trios or you have a couple of teams, you need a manager to help manage them because I can't keep talking to every single player. But I'm more than happy to dip down and chat to our Super Smash player or chat to our Tekken guy. And then it's easy just to talk to our Valorant manager and he just gives us the lowdown of everything that's been happening. And then it's all good.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think it's just how many games until, your quality starts to dip on others. If your quality starts to dip on others, then you're taking on too much. And also, I guess the quality, like you don't want to go, oh, look, we can get into us. All your other teams are aces, but this guy's like maybe a B or a C player, but you just want to be in that space. It's like maybe just hold off until you can get that A player. So you're keeping the quality across the board.
Yeah, being able to have that judgment ability to really understand, is it the right time to go in now or is it time to wait?
Yep.
For sure, definitely. And I think that's probably, a really good approach because I've had a chat with a couple of other org CEOs and I definitely love that approach in regards to, I guess, not really just full sending and jumping straight in the deep end, but really taking a systematic approach to really understanding the whole 360 and then where you fit within that circle.
Yep, for sure.
Definitely. Now, I guess on the topic of scouting, what we were talking about previously, there's this big kind of, I guess, not really stigma or not really anything in that kind of regards, but there's kind of this kind of notion of loyalty. And it's probably a big one within organizations because a lot of players feel that, I guess, when they're on an organization, it's kind of like, there's, how do I, when's the right time to move on? And if there is a new opportunity that arises, a lot of players may feel like they don't have the self-confidence to really speak up and say, hey, I've got this extra opportunity. I guess, how big is the Kings on loyalty and what does that mean for a team culture for you guys?
I feel like, starting from the management staff, our loyalty is just like unmatched. I mean, I can just say that I don't know what other orgs are like, but just from my personal perspective and how I saw my old org and maybe some other orgs, I found our management is just, yeah, they would die on a sword for us. They all, they all work for nothing, and they love the esports scene, and they just grind away, and then it's more than happy to put all the effort into it. I think I even got a Snapchat from our content creator manager because I got him to he's doing like a PDF for us today, like a write out, and he sent me a Snapchat of him with his kid, and he had his food cooking on the stovetop and his laptop on the bench to the side, like writing out the PDF, So like he's got all this like stuff going in real life, and he's just still grinding away. Like I would never ask him to do that ever, but he obviously doesn't have a lot of time. He's like, I'm getting it in, and he's doing it while he's cooking dinner with his kids going on in the background and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, bro, like. And like we give incentives, like we have like management of the month type thing. So the top guys at the top will pick a manager, and we'll vote on him. We say, yeah, his management, and we'll give him a little incentive each month. So we have things like that because obviously there's not too much we can give our managers at the moment, but obviously we love them. I guess going to a loyalty with teams, I guess it's about really talking and showing that what we're trying to do and where we want to go, and sort of proving those points as we go. We try to give them as much support as we can. It's not like you're signed on, you've got to do what you're told. Like we'll try to go beyond what we offer, even within the contracts or whatever, and give them more than they expect. I like the whole notion of like, undersell, over deliver. I think that's really good. And then I find a lot that if we do that, they will give back more too. So they'll try and give us more clips, or even like, look at Rice, connecting me to you, like stuff like that. I wouldn't have probably had this opportunity to have a chat to you if it wasn't for Rice sort of reaching and say, hey, this guy's interested. So things like that sort of help out a lot, and but still in the end, you sort of do, when it gets to like a level of like playing for money and paying to enter into tournaments, and there's money on the line and stuff like that. You do need contracts in a way. I'm not saying, people are just going to jump ship straight away as soon as the contract ends. But from ETS having no contracts, it was a lot more work to keep those guys. Like, especially Call of Duty team, like it was so hard to keep those guys alive. I was just like day in, day out on my phone all the time, trying to help them out, messaging, finding everything, just giving my blood, sweat and tears to keep them, because I knew I couldn't offer them money. And I didn't really have the contract or NDA side of things, so I knew they could just leave whenever they want. Having those contracts do help a lot. But you can tell that even when we do have those guys don't have to say on Twitter or on this or on that saying, I love Kings. Yeah, let's go Kings. Kings are awesome. The best, or like our stuff all the time. That's not in their contracts to like our stuff and comment on it and retweet and all that. But they all do it because I think they do have a sense of loyalty, and what we provide is it's bouncing back to us. And so I think that's just really engaging with them one-on-one, even from the level of like I am, which is CEO, and our founders and our CEO engaging with all of our players on some sort of level. And they interact with, my personal socials. I interact with theirs. Like it's all, I guess you could call it, to not be cliche, like a big family, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that having that systematic approach towards loyalty from the managerial perspective and then from the team perspective, to say that, we have some of our players liking, retweeting our stuff, it shows a sense of, team culture. And I think being able to have a distinctive team culture within an ecosystem that's so competitive is crucial. And I think you see that through a lot of players. And I guess that kind of leads me on to this next kind of question. It's, I guess, in an instance where you have professional players, where you have, I guess, different people from organizations kind of berating or not really being nice or being toxic on Twitter. What's that kind of scene? And is that, crucial for the scene?
Look, I try to promote positivity within OCE, and I keep trying to do that even within a manager's chat. As soon as I came in, one of the first things I said, which I mean, some people probably weirded out by, but I think it's especially when you're doing like through text, through Discord and stuff, I have like
Mm-hmm.
zero tolerance. I'll swear in game and all of that, but when we're talking about like professional stuff and in meetings and whatnot, I just saying like no swearing. Like I try to avoid
Yeah.
all that stuff because obviously through text, it's very easy to misconstrue what is said. You say a swear word here and there, instantly heightens the conversation to another level.
Definitely.
So stuff like that, I try to eliminate. With all the players, I let them know I like to have. We all know the line. I love good banter, but we all know
Yeah.
the line of what's toxic, what's baiting someone into toxicity or into a
Mm,
conversation. So that's definitely one of the things that is also in our contracts is those types of things that can damage our brand, and
mm,
we try to sort of tell our players not to get involved or engage with that sort of stuff, even if it is from other teams. Obviously,
yeah.
we can't fully control what happens in games, in text and stuff, but we those things can be screenshot and sent to us, and we have had to deal with them probably a long time ago in the past, and we say, "Come on, guys, none of that," and then they cut that straight away. So they know the line. I would like to see OC not be toxic.
Mm,
Along with a Call of Duty and Fortnite, I find is one of the more toxic side of things. I see CS:GO and Valorant as just banter. I
mm-hmm.
personally haven't seen a huge toxic market for it, but
Yep.
with Fortnite and Call of Duty, it's just like it's heavy, and it's weird because like
Mm,
Fortnite is very young and Call of
right.
Duty is a lot older crowd. So it's weird. It's like these two polar opposites are acting so similar, like children,
Yeah.
and one of them are children. So it's just like I would love to see it completely stamped out, and I feel like that would maybe set OC apart maybe a little bit if we could just
Mm.
eliminate that completely. Probably wouldn't do a big a lot, but I think it would make us seem that a little bit more professional. But I mean, a boy can dream.
Yeah, I definitely think that professionalism really does counter. And I guess the question really demands like, is it simply just a byproduct of the game? So, like, is it expected to have some sort of banter or toxicity?
I know it could be. I guess kids maybe see things online. They see their streamers, go off. Like you see, like you
Yeah.
see people like Ninja. He might kill a kid, or he gets killed, or even Doctor Spec, he gets killed and stuff. And they lose it. They uninstall the game. They go crazy. They say stuff. All that sort of stuff. Like you
Yeah.
know, people maybe need to be a bit more like Shroud. Like when he dies, he's the most chillest dude ever. He doesn't even care. He's just
No
like what?
reaction.
No reaction. But maybe it is a byproduct of people they watch or stuff they see online. Like I mean, when I see some of the Call of Duty lands in like American stuff, it doesn't seem too bad. Maybe there's a little bit of banter here and there, but they seem to all be sort of mates on a level
Mm,
two. A bit like AFL. Like you're never going to see, not never, but you rarely see another AFL player completely like blast another AFL player because he beat them. The round before or the round after.
yeah.
It's just like non-existent.
Mm,
So even in the Call of Duty scene, you see them when they win a land, they just get pumped up, they hug with their mates, whatever, but they're not like saying toxic stuff to their face. I think it's just through
hmm.
the social media science. It's just so easy to be a keyboard warrior these days and get away with it,
Definitely.
making fake accounts. 90% of these Twitter accounts are not like no one's showing their real face or their real name or stuff like that. It's all
Hmm.
just like a display picture, no address, no nothing, and they're just playing games, which is fine. But it's a lot easier to get away with some of the stuff that people want to say and do.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. And I guess really interesting question. Do you think there should be a regulation towards it, towards I guess what people say and how they hold themselves within the scene?
Look, I guess you can go down the avenue of free speech. um, I guess if you want to get like I personally think if you want to get signed to an org, just don't be toxic.
Just
I
don't.
mean,
Yep.
you can be as good as you want, but how often do those players who are amazing but literally say whatever they want? How far do they get?
Mm,
Obviously there are certain people who are able to do certain things because they're bringing a lot of money for certain companies.
hmm.
But I know that Kings would never ever sign anyone who was blatantly toxic on Twitter on socials.
Hmm.
Wouldn't do it effective. That's just not what we're about. Other
Hmm.
orgs might, but that's just not us. Um, so I don't know. You can maybe regulate it through contract. I mean, if the guy said, "Look, that was just a mistake. That's not me. I just got really angry." Blah
Mm,
blah. I don't mind. We do like a 3 strike type concept, depending on how severe it is. If it's like a little mistake here and there, we'll let it slide. If it's something severe,
yep.
obviously we can terminate the contract and stuff like that. But
Yep.
yeah, I think the only regulation always can do is just have it within their contract, and also it can just come down to pure education, just educating the player. If a
Mm,
player makes a misstep on Twitter, says something wrong, don't have to boot them straight away. Say, don't do that, that's wrong, you're out. Just like
Hmm.
try one time, just educate the person why that's wrong, who it
Yeah,
can affect, why it will affect them, and how it may affect them in their future and what they want to do within esports.
definitely. For sure. I love that approach, man. Big
Mm.
respect to you on there on that regard, because I think it's the best way to deal with it, right? And it's holistically um, tackling the problem without having so much backlash and consequences. And I think that's
Yep.
crucial. And I think that kind of directly leads me onto this next kind of segment that I want to talk about, and probably my most favorite, this whole idea of health and well-being within esports. Because obviously, as a performance coach, that's pretty much my forte and
Yep.
what I love the most, just to be in there and helping players with external performance, sleep, hydration, nutrition, stretches, all that kind of stuff, and then being there to help them with their mindset and
Mhm.
mental in regards to motivation, mental toughness, emotional regulation. I guess within the OCE esports performance scene, do you see, I guess, that being a big factor? Because obviously, in regards to North America and Europe, there's so many organizations starting to develop like gyms for as a part of their organization, getting sports psychologists, getting physiotherapists on board their team. So, I guess, how big do you think that's going to happen within OCE?
Well, I want it to be a huge thing. Like I know if Kings had a HQ, 100%, I'll be like, we are having a gym in that HQ. That's going to be there. Even if I'm the only one using it, man, it's going to be in there. I'm going to be pushing our players to use that. Even if it's
Yeah.
just a small amount, just something. Even just like, 20 minutes before they're about to, get online and start doing stuff. It's just a huge thing that needs to
Hmm.
be promoted. I mean, we promote heavy for our org, and I think that's also one of the reasons why I came on to Kings, because before I came on to Kings, they knew that I like to promote health and fitness and positivity, and I
Yeah.
was a huge advocate for mental health within gaming.
Hmm.
And the founder is a huge advocate for mental health and gaming, and we even have like a private section where people can talk about. They can either post anonymously. We have a bot, so they can post anonymously, or they can just post publicly, and everyone
Mm.
can help out and maybe talk to them. They can vent, or we've also said that they can DM any of the managers
Mm.
and talk to them
Fantastic.
privately if they want to talk about stuff. So, I mean, as we know, like ever since we started that mental health chat in there,
Mm.
it sort of opened my eyes even more that the how extreme and how not bad, but I guess how big it is at the moment. There's a lot of
Definitely.
players going through stuff because like, and that's why I don't like the toxicity that's within OC and gaming because
Mm.
like I was bullied as a kid, and that's why
Hmm.
like, I got overweight, and then I decided to lose all the weight, and that's why I got to where I am now.
Hmm.
But you go out and you're being a kid and you get bullied at school. You come home to play games to get away from life,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then you're just bullied online.
Hmm.
Like, and you can't, and then you got social media. You can't get away. Even outside the game, they find your tag, your Twitter. They'll keep hitting it. They keep poking the megs. For some people love it. They love trolling. They love teasing.
Hmm.
So to be able to have an actual space where even if they do get bullied in game, and then they can come out and go, man, I feel like shit, blah blah. They can talk to us or find a space to say, this is what happened. They can potentially maybe find like-minded people like them who understand what they're going through, or
Mm.
people who just go, yeah, man, I'll play with you. I'm not toxic. I'll play. I don't care if you're good, bad, whatever. Let's just play games.
Yeah.
And that's why we did that charity month-long charity stream for Checkpoint, raising money for mental health and gaming,
Mm.
and that went really well. So I guess mental health side of things, I think 100% needs to be improved and looked at more seriously.
Yep.
We can see it from the lowest of levels to the highest of levels, all the way into NA. There's people going through it everywhere. And then
Yeah.
I think fitness is the next level. Like we are seeing it progress, as into people are seeing more gamers who look healthy or fitter physically and mentally at the same time.
Yep.
And more people who are trying to promote a more positive outlook. You even see it as little as even the top streamers you might see like Shroud or even those other guys. When I first started watching them, they never talked a bar about like health and fitness. And then
Mm.
sometimes you sort of seeing them like, I got to go, I'm going to the gym, or I'm going to the gym right now, or he might post a picture of him at the gym. But
Yep.
like you can see, it is creeping even into the bigger scenes that it is poking its head in a lot more. And I'd
Mm.
like to see all avenues of you know health and fitness and positivity with the mindset as well come into the OCE scene a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. And I really love that, I guess, direction you've taken with mental health on the Discord as well, because I think the biggest thing in regards to mental health is a lot of people don't have that opportunity, right? They don't have the opportunity to find a space to talk
Mm,
with or someone to talk to. And I think being able to create that platform where you're, I guess, inviting people to, if they are having a bad day or if something's going wrong or if they don't have someone to turn to, there's always the opportunity. And I think once people have that opportunity, that's when you can really create that sense of, yes, we do care, we want to support you, and by supporting you, we can also drive you to be the best person that you can be. And
100%.
yeah.
And that's why, like, when we're looking at certain content creators, because we're now about to start looking for some new content creators to come into the org. But with
Mm,
our current ones, we always let them know that that's what we want to promote when we're promoting like our brand a bit, is like, supporting mental health within gaming. And one of our biggest advocates for that, and just one of my favorite content creators is awesome, is Barator. Doesn't get
mm,
enough credit where credit is due, but this guy is one of the most friendliest, loveliest streamers I've ever seen, and his Discord is amazing, and the amount of effort that he puts into helping people with mental health issues or even physical health issues within his Discord is just like astronomical. So say like
mm,
someone comes into our Discord and they might have an issue and they post it. We all try to help and stuff like that, but we all have day jobs, so we can't put as much time in. But we try to help as much as we can.
yeah.
This guy will spend like, it seems like he spends like a day and a half thinking about how he's going to respond, and he has like this massive message on how he tries to help, and you can just see that pure love, and he truly, truly wants to help this
Mm,
individual. And just his streams are just awesome. Like, just everyone that goes in there always has a good time. He's just so friendly to everyone, and
mm,
but he's also firm as well. Like, he's zero, uh, what would be the word? Zero tolerance for toxicity
mm,
or bullying or
yep,
any of that. Like, he stamps it out straight away. But even if that person is toxic, he'll warn them and he'll educate them. He doesn't say you're banned from my stream or you're done.
yep,
He'll go, why'd you say that? What's your problem? Maybe you should try this or that. And obviously, if they keep going, it's like, okay, well, you're affecting my chat. You're gone. But he even
yep,
that way, like, he's not even like, he's not a horrible person that way where he'll just ban them. He just really likes to educate everything
mm,
behind esports and mental health within gaming and just mental health as a whole.
yeah,
So it'd be good. Like, I think it is a serious issue that needs to be looked at, not just in gaming, as you want to in the
yeah.
world completely, but with what we're able to affect with our current platform. I think
Hmm.
gaming is the fastest and the easiest one for us to target and hit effectively.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that kind of really resonates with myself. Just last weekend when I did my 8 hour bike ride for charity, supporting Safe in Our World, which was a mental health video games charity over in the UK, and really just helping, I guess, pretty much similar to what you talked about before, where people come and resort to gaming as an escape, right? When they're escaping from real life, the stress, the anxiety, the pressure of what they're going through, and they resort to gaming as an escape from that, and to journey into a different world and take that approach. And when that world starts to get corrupted by, I guess, toxicity, or I guess it starts to be affected, then that can really start to affect the person individually and mentally.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
For sure. And I guess, as a scene, do you think that what needs to happen, I guess, is, obviously what your guys are doing is fantastic with the positivity and, the awareness surrounding mental health, that, other orgs can look towards what you guys are doing and start to adopt that as well?
We would hope so. That's why we try to be as friendly with orgs as we can,
Right.
without encroaching on what they're doing too much. But we let it be well known on our socials, or how we talk in Discord, or how we talk to our players, or even
Hmm.
without our management staff. They all know that that's what we promote. Um, I guess it's hard, some orgs will see it in the end as like, it's just a business. Like, if
Yeah.
they don't see that pushing that front is going to benefit their business or fast track them enough, they might not
Yep.
put any resources into it. Where we're just
Yep.
like, it doesn't take a lot of resources at all. It might take an extra post here and there, or a bit of effort to talk to
Mm.
someone or communicate with people better. But the benefit is to just help gaming in general, which is still a benefit to
Yeah.
everyone in the end. So I guess it's hard, but you just got to hope that other orgs are taking it on. Maybe a younger generation, as they say, where mental health is hopefully being seen a lot more and is a greater awareness. So hopefully that'll just transition for the younger
Yeah.
crowd, and they'll want to just allow people, and accept people to open up about it. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would type in post or in Discords and stuff and say, "Man, I had a really shit day," and no one will respond to it. But it's like, he might say he's just
Mm.
having a really shit day, and not baiting, but he's sort of fishing for someone to just at least open a line of communication with him so he can vent or can talk to someone, because he just wants to talk to
Mm.
someone. And maybe no one will respond, and his shit day just turned into a horrible day because no one
Mm.
responded to him. So It all
Yeah,
it
really,
all it all starts from the top.
really picking up the small cues and really starting to just work your way down
Mm,
for sure. And I guess another kind of tangent that I wanted to explore, I guess, on the basis of that kind of providing support for players and providing holistically targeting, our athletes, right, our cognitive athletes, is this idea of, I guess, um, fairness. And I guess what I mean by that is, when you have, for example, a top tier EU team versus an OCE team, where the EU team has backing by sports psychologists, physiotherapists, dietitians, the whole shebang. Like, we're talking everything in the
mm.
bag here, versus a team with little to no support. Do you think that's fair?
Look, I guess you gotta roll the dice you're given. Really, like, I mean,
Mm,
it's just like, what do you do? I guess it's like AFL teams and, like, when they have salary caps and, like, some people have saved up their
yeah,
salary cap and they're able to just bank on all those amazing players, and that's just
players.
that's just how it works. But I guess you can't call it unfair because that's just how it is, and it won't change.
Mm,
Um, I mean, you can go down. Is it fair that when we play, like if you play online, if we play online, we're going to have lag. Like you've
sure.
chosen to take that on. That's lag. You got to accept it. Can't complain. Like you're entering a league that you're going to have a ping disadvantage or an advantage. Obviously, it's different if you fly over there, but then again, like you said, they have the advantage of a sports psychologist and fitness professional and backings and monies and physios and all
Mm,
that sort of stuff. I guess you guess you got to talk to your players and show them, look, let's show them that we don't need all this stuff to still
mm,
compete. You got to, I guess, really motivate them and push through that sort of stuff and show you don't need that. Obviously, it's always beneficial. You look at it at
yep.
any level. Look at all the pro players down on all those athletic sports who started from the bottom, who had nothing and came out of nowhere and won a huge tournament. They did it on the
Exactly.
back of no physios and all that. They've all done it at some stage, and now they've all made it, and they have all those physios to stay at that level consistently.
Yeah.
Obviously, these EU players, they all started somewhere too. They all started at the low level and grinded to get to that level, and now they reap the benefits of having all those benefits.
Yeah.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles, and I think it's just something we're always going to have to deal with.
Mm.
But yeah, it does suck. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a physio and a massage therapist and all these people you can talk to, on demand? But
Yeah.
that's just part of life, man, and that's just where we are. But I mean, I'm pretty happy to be in Australia. I've got no issues.
Hell yeah, man. Love that. And it's I think that's such a holistic way to look at it, because I think, having a catch chat with a couple of players on Mindclickers before, it's kind of like that. You play the cards that you're given, right? And I guess, it really resembles from, working with nothing to the grind up. And once
Yeah,
you've got to that grind, you've put in the effort, it's kind of like, this is the reward of getting there.
yeah, for sure.
So it's definitely a good way to look at it. I guess turning off the gas and rolling down the hill now, towards the end of the episode, we have this section at the end where I love to give you this spotlight. We do it on every episode, so I'm sorry to put you in the spotlight, man. But I guess if you had, there's probably a lot of play. We have a lot of players,
Mm.
especially youth players, listening. Parents, a lot of people within that kind of circle who holistically tune in to really understand esports more. And I guess if you had some advice for, I guess, some of these players looking to take their level of maybe casual competitive into really esports, what would you give to these players?
I think it's tough. Like, I think you have to find that balance of where you're able to do what you want to do while still be able to do what you're doing in your IRL life. So
Right.
obviously, we're always going to promote, doing your education, all those sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be able to find that balance of like practicing, playing competitively, and doing it the right way.
Yep.
There's no such thing as you know, practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect.
Yep.
So sometimes you just got to put in the hard yards. Like it can be as boring as anything. Like I doubt many of these the younger players who are maybe still looking for orgs or just chilling are going in and doing the aim training and all that. Just sitting, on those aim
Mm,
trainers for 3 or 4 hours doing that. That
yeah.
is, that is boring. I would never do that. That's boring as hell. But that's why I'm not a pro player, and that's why our Valorant team are pro players, because our
Yep.
coach is giving them the stuff to do, and they're doing it day in day out and doing all the map learning and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So I think it's like, again, you got to find the time to do that, and obviously you got to find a way for your parents to understand what you're doing.
Mm,
I don't know how to sort of relate to the parent side of things. Like I've talked to parents when we've had to sign maybe younger kids to the org, and
Wow.
I've had to
Yep.
talk to the parents, talk them through the contract, talk them through, it's all good. This is what we want to do. We're going to help them,
Hmm.
all that sort of stuff. And, they're all really happy. We've had some really good conversations and good chats, and we've had some good laughs.
Yep.
But it is hard, and I don't envy the players who are at that level, because it will be a lot of work. There's no way around it. It is going to be a lot of work, and there's going to be a lot of people out here saying, "Oh, look at you, just playing games. You're wasting your life." Blah
Mm.
blah blah. You just got to know. You got to be real with yourself. You got to be deep down and know that this is it. I can do it. I've got the ability. But then you also got to be on the side of where I know I'm not good enough. Let's be real. Let's do something
Mm.
that I actually can do. Like when I was
Right.
I think probably like 8 years ago, I was considering, like, maybe I should, because I used to play like competitive golf. I was like, maybe I should try and become a professional golfer.
Yep.
Parents gave me the year off from having to have really any obligations to do much apart from golf. And I went out there and I played golf. I practiced like every day, do that stuff. And at the end of the year, I knew deep down I'm not good enough. Like, I could play good sometimes, but I knew my ability was good, but I knew mentally I didn't have the mental toughness to
Mm.
compete. And I know the pool that's out there, and that's what you got to be. You got to look at what qualities out there. How good are these guys really? Sit
Yeah.
back, watch the streams, watch those pro players, see what they do in real life when they're training and practicing and all that sort of stuff. It's not fun. It's boring. It is work. It's not fun. It is work. And
Hmm.
that's what I found. I didn't have the mental toughness to compete, but also to put in those hours of doing all the boring training.
Mm.
So you got to be able to do the things that you don't want to do, and you just have to do them. So I think it's just being real. Like,
Yep.
there's no sugarcoating. It's like people go, "Oh, gaming's great. I'm just going to stream, make money, blah blah." Even like being a great Twitch streamer or streamer in general, or content creator, it is work, and the
Yep.
market's so flooded. So it's even harder now than it was 5-10 years ago.
Hmm.
Like, and people go, "Oh, look at this guy. He's massive." It's like, yeah, but he's been doing YouTube for 10 years. That's a lot
Yep.
of time making videos 4 times a week. It's a lot of time, and he's putting a lot of effort. And for those, say, first like 5 years, he's probably doing all the editing himself.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you just got to be real with yourself, and just deep down inside know what can you do and what can't you do.
Yeah, for sure. I really appreciate that. I think that's the realest, probably one of the realest spotlights we've had for the end of the episode. Just really understanding, is it for me? And, taking that time to really go through that process and understanding what it takes to be at the best level, and what that really takes, and really understanding if that's the pathway for me. And that's not to say that, I guess, esports is only just for players. There's tons of different avenues you can go into
Mhm.
esports through many different domains. And I think that's crucial to really understand that. But then really just understanding that, is being a professional player, is that my goal? Is that where I want to be? Or is it more so just be within esports, but then also being able to jump on every night and have some fun and play the games that we love to play at the same time?
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, as you all know, like you said, like, it's not just being a professional player. Even if you just want to be a content creator, it's a grind again. Coming from work, you got to record. You got to record the video, which might take an hour
Hmm.
or so. Get the clips. Then you got to be able to know. You got to know first how to edit, and then you got to still edit it. And we all know that we can always just sit there and edit for hours and hours, because you're never satisfied. Even when it's posted, you're not happy with it. So
Yeah.
even that can just take up so much time, and it can feel like a bore, like rinse and repeat. Okay, here we go, clip farming again. Got to make another video. Got to make another thumbnail. Got to post this out. Got to do the right tags. It's a lot of work, a lot of grinding, and you can see on YouTube the difference between the guys who have made it and the people who haven't. So yeah, it's a grind no matter what. It can just be just like life, man. It can be a grind.
Just a grind, and you just got to find a way. Well, I really appreciate, I guess, coming on today, Alex, because I think we've really had a really in-depth chat, and probably one of the most, I guess, broad topics to really understand the OCE Esports performance scene as a whole, especially from that organizational perspective on your behalf. And I think that was really fantastic to really look at OCE as a whole, especially within the next 5 years and what that entails. But also looking in regards to marketing and how that plays into factor of content creation and really building the brand and establishing a dominant team culture, because I think that's crucial for many organizations to really represent yourself. But then also looking at scouting and looking at, what it takes to be a good player and what that takes to look to sign a player, and then finally chipping it off with this whole important factor and the reality of mental health and well-being, and the inevitable where we have to deal with, coming home and not having a good day, and being able to have that support and provide that support to our players. So I really appreciate coming on today, Alex. And I think that a lot of players and parents and coaches and everyone listening is really going to take away some really good key tips today.
No worries, man. I appreciate you and Mindclickers for having me on. It's a great opportunity, and I'll be more than happy to do it again anytime. Just hit me up. It was really awesome.
For sure, man. I really appreciate it. And for everyone listening, where can we find you and the Kings and all the socials?
You can't find myself. The best place to find me is on Twitter. So that's just at Acethem Gaming.
Yep.
And then Kings is just at 1620 Kings on Twitter as well. And you'll find all our socials in our link tree there. It's pretty much the same branding for myself and Kings across all of our socials. But yeah, you can't miss us. The big Ram.
The Rams are in town, boy.
That's it, baby.
Let's go. Well, I really appreciate jumping on and taking time to your day. And yeah, make sure you have a good night, man.
Awesome. Cheers. Thanks a lot, buddy. You too.
Catch you later.